It's Cardinals time.
Hey, everybody. Kairi's here, 91, hanging out with you for this week's edition of Kairi's Cards Cast, alongside Brian Lutes as usual. How you feeling, Brian Lutes?
Woo!
Oh my goodness. Woo indeed. Sounds like Brian Lutes is excited. Anyways, guys, we got a wonderful show lined up for you, including the dominant and amazing return of everyone's favorite segment,
Top 5.
In fact, we actually have two
Top 5.
this week. And I feel like,
You mean we have a top 10?
well, no. We have two top 5s. So let's go ahead and read those now. These are my top 5s. Lutz has nothing to do with these. The first one is going to be my personal
Top 5.
favorite outcomes of Week 16, other than the Cardinals beating the crap out of the Packers like they did. Number 5, Washington beating Philly, sealing Chip Kelly's fate. More on that later. Brock Osweiler. Number 4. Brock Osweiler leading Denver to a win over Cincinnati, 20-17 in overtime. I thought that was pretty darn cool. Because as you know, I am a big Brock Osweiler fan. I like Brock. I like what he's doing. I feel like he has the raw talent and tools to be like a great quarterback for the Broncos down the road. Number 3, New York Jets beating the Patriots 26-20 in overtime. Bill Belichick's crafty nature backfired on him. Bill Belichick loves kicking the ball off to start games. He loves letting the other team have the ball first. I don't know, man. Even in overtime, I think he was counting on his defense shutting the Jets down, just getting the ball back and kicking the game-winning field goal. But obviously, Ryan Fitzpatrick had other plans. Number 2, Carolina loses to Atlanta 20-13. Oh my goodness.
Woo!
Lutz likes that one too. That was freaking cool, man. Like I figured Carolina might lose a game this season. I didn't think it was going to be that one.
It's just like you just beat the guys 38-0
Right.
a couple of weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago.
And finally, number 1, of course, has to be St. Louis Rams beating the Seattle Seahawks for the season sweep of the Seahawks. The Rams will have gone 5-1, assuming they beat the Niners next week. The Rams will have gone 5-1 in the division, but still managed to finish 8-8. What a bunch of Jeff Fisher ass trash, dude.
I know, they really are built just to spoil the NFC West teams and make life suck for us, but they have like no real aspirations of their own outside of that. It's weird though. It's like the Seahawks, man. You know what I'm saying? Thank you.
Well, you know what? The season that we went to the Super Bowl, we finished 9-7. We swept the NFC West that year, so that means we won our 6 divisional games and then only 3 more. So we only won 3 non-divisional games that season,
Yeah.
and we ended up locking up the division pretty early because everyone else was so terrible. Okay, let's move on to our.
In a sense, that almost included us, you know, if we only won 3 games outside of our division.
Absolutely, that included us. Let's move on to our next.
Top 5.
And this
Top 5.
is going to be the
Top 5.
coaches that how's the volume, by the way, guys? I feel like it might be quiet. Coaches that I believe are going to be gone on Black Monday. I'm not terribly good at making predictions like this, and to be fair, I actually made this list like yesterday, so whatever. Chip Kelly's on it. Number 5, Mike Pettin. I think he's gone on Black Monday. Number 4, Chuck Pagano. I don't see Chuck Pagano sticking around.
Wait, who is number 5?
Mike Pettin. Mike Pettin's number 5. Number 4 is Chuck Pagano. Number 3, Dan Campbell in Miami, who's only there because Regis Philbin's nephew couldn't hold it down.
Not even like He's not even a real head coach anyway.
Okay, what about number 2, Mike Mularkey?
He's not a real head coach either.
His head coaching is just a bunch of malarkey, as Joe Biden would say. Is it fair to put guys like Mike Mularkey and Dan Campbell on a list like this? Because
Well, no, that's kind of what I was saying. They weren't even supposed to be real head coaches.
But you know what though? Well, sometimes when other head coaches get fired, the interim head coach ends up keeping the job.
Well, we saw like Dan Campbell have a little success right off the bat because the guys obviously didn't respond to Ken Wisenhunt. I mean, Joe Philbin in that case, and so when they're still good players, so as soon as he's gone, they obviously like step up a lot, which I think is what you're going to see with Philadelphia playing the New York Giants. Because, I mean, I called the whole Eagles thing, right? Like, I knew that they were just, like, smacking balls down, like, oopsies, trying to get Chip out the gate. And then they played the Pats, which was, the toughest team on their schedule. And I wasn't surprised they beat them. Because it was just, like, a reminder, we're not really this bad. We just don't. We're not playing for this fucking stupid Blarney Stone leprechaun guy anymore.
Okay. Number 1 was Chip Kelly. And I swear to God, I had compiled this. I didn't have the placings right, but I had compiled my top 5 guys that I was pretty sure are going to be fired on Black Monday. So I guess I'm wrong, because Chip Kelly didn't make it to Black Monday. Lutes, I want to ask you about this.
Ask me.
What would have been the harm in the Eagles letting Chip Kelly coach the final meaningless game of this season and then firing him on Black Monday? Why was it so important that they got rid of him now?
This is what I was telling you off air, that Jeff Leary, the owner of the Eagles, is really trying to make a statement in that they want to go a whole different course than Chip Kelly, to the point where they're going to actually do something that's like semi-punitive with him. Not even allow him to coach the last freaking week of the season. Like, they're that done. As soon as the opportunity to clinch the division was over and they had no playoff aspirations anymore, they cut their ties with Chip. And I think that was to send a statement to the fans and everything that, we're not going to wait around or follow protocol. We're going to make choices to get this team moved in the right direction. So I think that's what it was about. It was just like it just send a statement to everybody that they're going to do what they need to do to get this done, and they're going to do it now.
All right. Before we move on to talking about Cardinals, because after all, hang on, you guys. After all,
It's Cardinals time.
I want to make one last comment about head coaching firings, and then we'll move on. I think that head coaches do not get anywhere near enough time in head coaching in the NFL. Chip Kelly was probably pretty comfortable getting fired right now, because he only coached 3 seasons, and he's totally cool with going 3 and out. That's something he likes. So, but other than Chip Kelly, other guys like Ken Wisenhunt had a year and a half. I don't think that you can tell that Ken Wisenhunt.
Yeah, dude, but he was 3-26. Man.
I know what he was, dude. I'm not saying okay. It's not just Ken Wisenhunt. Let's look at the Oakland Raiders. Oh, since 2010, Tom Cable was fired in 2010 at the end of the season. They had Hugh Jackson for 1 year, Dennis Allen for a year and a half, Tony Sperano as acting head coach after Allen got fired, and now they're on to Jack Del Rio. That's 5 head coaches in 5 seasons. 5 head coaches.
Sometimes. And Tom Cable too, but Hugh Jackson I don't like. He reminds me of Marvin Lewis a little bit, and I
5 head coaches in 5 seasons. Do you honestly believe that any of those guys? Well, I mean, Jack Del Rio is still there, obviously, but do you honestly believe that those guys really got a fair evaluation to see what they can do with the team? Dude, Hugh Jackson got 1 season. One whole 16-game season, and then he was canned. How on earth do you know after 1 season? He doesn't even have time to get to know the freaking players' like full names, man. Like, I don't know.
I admit that some teams have a propensity to sort of knee-jerk with that, and they do themselves like more harm. But there's also the whole case for like cutting your losses. There's more than like just your record, like you can tell based on some things that aren't necessarily evident in the field. what you're getting back from a guy. And I think Chip Kelly, in his case, even the record pretty much says like where you're at. I mean, the NFC East was trash this season. It was such an opportune time to have a team that was worth a damn step up and just like seize that. It was pretty much a walk into the playoffs, and he couldn't do it at all, man. But there was so much more than that going on with Chip. I mean, he had gotten rid of a lot of like the key players of the team between like
Chip Kelly just comes into town, kicks out all the franchise players, and then it's like, all right, see you guys.
yeah, but they're like players were grumbling, and like I was watching this like this video earlier about him. It was during a practice, and it's like showing how he interacted with everybody. I just like it was so awkward watching it the whole time because like there's such awkward vibes coming from his interaction with people. You could tell nobody wanted to talk to him. Everybody kind of like slinked away when they saw him approaching. Like you can't have that, man. Like everybody was rubbed the wrong way by the guy. He was so arrogant, and like he just thinks he knows better than everybody else, and thinks that if he has a system executed, that that's going to make all the difference, and that can somehow supplant talent. But like Julio Jones showed you, like if you're just bigger and beaster, you're going to make plays over other guys, regardless of what the situation is supposed to be. I mean, these are some of the most gifted athletes in the world, and for him to cut like D-Jax, and like I admit that guy is probably tough to coach sometimes,
And shady.
and shady. And for whatever reason, I thought Shady was kind of the most egregious, just because he was like a Philadelphia guy. I mean, he went
Right.
to college, he went to like high school there, college there, and then got drafted by the Eagles. And he was like a Philadelphia story. And so for him to be let go, like I know it was heartbreaking for him, and that's why he's like especially miffed about it. But pretty much every fan that like I've really heard talk about it seems like they were fine with him going. And I don't know if that's in retrospect, seeing kind of how Shady has reacted to the whole thing or what. But yeah, just the fact that Chip would allow these people to leave the team and then bring in kind of like questionable guys that are like injury prone. Like he dealt with injuries from like Kiko Alonso and Sam Bradford like all season. And who was even remotely surprised by that? And like, so there's just obvious things, and so like, I don't think you give that guy more time. I think that he was like a Ken Wisenhunt type situation where he comes in, he has Andy Reid's players, coaches them to some success. The players are going to try right off the bat because it's a new regime. They want to win, and so like they're going to really go out there and put out for him. But then as like time progresses and he starts to make the team more what he wants it to be, they're falling further and further away from success, and you could tell that the players weren't up for it, to the point where at the very end Jason Peters opted to bench himself. In like kind of like paraphrase is, I'm not gonna like put myself out there for this, or like I'm not gonna get myself hurt over this. And so he like set the game out. When you got guys doing that, when you're the coach, it's over, man. And so I think that behind the scenes there's things like that were happening, probably with like Ken Wisenhunt, where the guys were just like clearly not going to put themselves and their health on the line for this person that they didn't believe in. You got to believe in your head coach. I mean, that's more important than really anything the coach is coming out with saying. I mean, there's not a huge amount of difference between a lot of these guys. It's just how much the players buy into the whole belief system and like their philosophy. And so like that's the big thing that Bruce has. Everybody buys in and they play for him. That's why when you get an injury, other people seem to step up and they want to do well and succeed for him. So yeah, I do hear what you're saying about not giving guys enough time, but like I said, sometimes you can just tell if the players aren't buying into it now, they're probably not going to do it next week either, or even next season.
All right. It's 15 minutes into the podcast. It's time that we actually mention something related to the Cardinals. All right. Looking back at last week, Lutes, we killed them. Green Bay is supposed to be a pretty good team. They do have 10 wins. I kind of feel like they're not a fantastic 10-win team, but they are a 10-win team, and we did completely destroy them. Everybody played well, even Gerard Powers, who normally Lutz has nothing but contempt for. And
No, that's not true, man. It's because he played in the slot where he belongs. I don't like him playing on the edge. I don't think he belongs on the edge. He gets burned too much. But in the slot, he's always been really good. That's where he played pretty much all last season because Tyron was injured. and he played really well there. It's just because Tyron was playing that Tyron got first dibs at that position, so Gerard had to fill in on the outside where he's less comfortable.
Okay, so Calais Campbell played well. 2 weeks in a row, I've had wonderful things to say about Calais Campbell, which makes sense because he's an exceptionally talented player. I hope he doesn't let off the intensity now. I hope he continues to bring that level of intensity.
No way. Not now, not that it's week 17, man. This is what they've all been waiting for.
No, hold on a minute. That's why Bruce Arians doesn't want to rest him, because he doesn't want anyone to think now is the time to start relaxing. It's not. Now is the time to start ramping up your efforts and playing your heart out, because you got the playoffs coming up. So I understand Bruce Arians' point of view. However, I also understand that bringing that level of intensity is what got Honey Badger hurt. Now, obviously, that wasn't as devastating as I thought it would be. I didn't think we'd be able to stop Aaron Rodgers for shit without Honey Badger. I was dead wrong.
Granted, the O-line kind of helped that out. But, I mean, a big reason we were able to get the sacks is because he didn't have a receiver to throw to. They just were not fast enough to deal with our guys. I mean, our defensive backfield is, for the most part, really young and fast. So, I don't know, man. I just in general about the whole Week 16 outcome, I'm in a really zen-like spot right now with football. I feel like everything that I've been saying has been coming out in the wash finally and coming to pass. And, people are they're being forced to recognize this. I've been saying about Green Bay, you guys can go back all season long, that they're not that good, that their defense actually is what has made them what they have been able to muster this season with their 10 wins. And I think that was also evident in the game. I mean, they picked Carson, and our offense didn't necessarily put all those points up. Huh?
We picked him right back.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, our offense isn't what really blew that game apart. It was our defense, and interestingly enough, our defensive line. I mean, our mismatch with their O-line was just really bad in their favor, or in our favor, I should say. So between that, Green Bay kind of showing that was a battle for the 2 and 3 seed positions. So those were the teams that were supposed to be on each other's level, so to speak, in terms of the standings. And we've had to deal with the fact that we lost that shitty Rams game and lost that fluky Steelers game, and all of the comments people have been making. We'll say the Cardinals are this or that, and what's the first response? You guys lost to Landry Jones. And it's like, yeah, okay, well, Ben and Antonio Brown just lost to Ryan Mallett. So in the freaking, some matchups happen, weird games happen.
Seattle just lost to Case Keenum.
Yeah, Seattle just lost to Case Keenum, and so again, right? And so and the Rams beat us too. So then they sweep Seattle. So everybody said Seattle's great. Nobody's gonna come and be like, oh, they lost to the Rams, just because they've got the pedigree with the Super Bowl and everything. So it's just really nice for me now that it's week 17 and Arizona's number 1 on every power ranking. Every team that was around them lost. Green Bay was in the top 5, and every time I would see them in the top 5, I would just say, how are you justifying this? Just because it's by default? Because there's nobody else there?
From now on, when you're going to use the phrase top 5, you got to give me a heads up so I can...
Yeah. Minnesota's a better team, man. And, just because Green Bay beat them in that matchup earlier in the season doesn't mean that is necessarily what would happen now. Or if you had those two teams play the rest of the league, how those two teams would fare against the rest of the league and not necessarily each other. I mean, the Rams beat the Seahawks, but what team would you rather play, So it doesn't always mean that the team's better just because they won. Green Bay beating Minnesota doesn't mean Green Bay is the overall better team that deserves to be in the top 5 over Minnesota. And it's hard for people to say that now, considering how Minnesota shellacked a Giants team that they were supposed to beat. So that made me really happy, the way that Arizona absolutely vaporized Green Bay, just validating everything that I said. They're not even close to the same level, just because Arizona had a couple weird losses earlier in the season that put them in sort of the same spot in the pecking order, but they're not, And then Chip Kelly getting fired, I've been saying the whole time that he's been the problem with the Eagles, and he needs to go. And I'm I'm shocked, kind of like everybody else is, that Jeff Leary decided to make that decision now, and that like vocally, just like, yes, we're getting rid of this guy. We're going a whole nother direction. The Panthers losing, you and I saw it. They gave up a huge lead against the Giants, like a 35-7 lead against the Giants, and ended up having to come through with like a game-winning field goal. And they barely beat the Saints, beaten by 3 points. And the Saints are fucking horrible, dude. They have absolutely no defense. And the Carolina's supposed to have a great defense, but they don't defend that well against the pass. They don't. They're not that great against passing. So when you have like a good quarterback and like a good receiver, you can exploit that. And that's why the Saints were able to stick with him. That's why the Giants were able to come back and score a whole freaking games worth of points in the fourth quarter. And then that's why the Falcons beat them. And I've been saying this stuff all season long too, but just because like the Panthers hadn't been caught on the right Sunday yet with it, everybody was just like, you all lost to Landry Jones. So I'm in such like a zen like state right now, seeing all of these things finally get fleshed out. Like the Broncos are looking cool. The Chiefs have come through. We were big on them in preseason and thought with the loss of Charles that they were done. And to see them now tied with the Cardinals for like 9-game winning streaks. Speaking of, like, what is the Cardinals' longest winning streak in like a single season? We got to be around it.
Well, we're about to hit win number 10 if we can beat Seattle for this.
How could that not be it? I mean, we had that
I
11
can't
and
imagine.
we had an 11-1 season in like 72 or something like that, but I don't know. It was a really good week of football. I feel really, really validated in a lot of the things that I've been saying throughout the season, and haven't had an opportunity yet to see proven one way or the other just because of the schedule. So now that they're hitting the right teams and the right matchups, other people are seeing it too. And lo and behold, the Cardinals are like number one on like every power ranking. I've been coming around and being like, this was really where they've been the past several weeks. It just Carolina by default was going to be number one. That's kind of how that works. But they weren't outplaying their competition like Arizona has been since week 6. And so then people are even still defending it. They're like, well, Carolina, has really deserved to be out there. And it's like, yeah, of course you're going to say that because you've had them there. But no, they haven't been. There's been issues with that team. And so, like, I hope that they don't want it done just for the sake of all the Panthers fans. That'd be heartbreaking. But I wouldn't be surprised at this point if they went one and done. I mean, them and the Packers are kind of, those are the two teams I expect to lose their first playoff game.
Okay, wow. Okay, we have to move on, man. It's time to talk about something else. Let's see. Okay. I already talked about that. Indianapolis Colts. What do you think about them, Lutes? Let me tell you what I think of them. They signed Josh Freeman and world famous real estate agent Ryan Lindley at quarterback. So I guess they're making a Super Bowl run. I don't know.
Seems like it. So that's what that usually implies.
Either that or they heard that Ryan Lindley can get them amazing deals on prime real estate.
I'm glad. Like, I was worried he was never going to get another shot.
Oh my God, me too. I honestly, and judging by the fact that I don't know if you guys know this, if you guys are longtime listeners to our podcast, you do know this, but for those of you who don't, Ryan Lindley's Twitter account makes no mention of the fact that he is associated with football in any way. His Twitter account, like his about me section or whatever, says like Ryan Lindley realtor.
In capital letters, realtor.
The dude's only identification on Twitter is that he deals in real estate transactions. He has no indication that the guy freaking started a playoff game, an NFL playoff game.
Yeah, last season too. And for those of you that don't really know like the background, I believe he was drafted by the Cardinals out of San Diego State, and ended up over on San Diego's practice squad. And as we were making our end of the season push last year, and we were starting to rack up injuries at key positions, we started picking up some people from the San Diego practice squad. Kerwin Williams, the notable one, and then Ryan Lindley. So I think we signed him in like week 11 when Stanton was starting to be our number 3 after Logan Thomas. And then when Stanton got injured, we put Logan in that game, I believe. But then like we started Ryan Lindley after that. And the strange thing was it was actually to prevent the humiliation of losing like a playoff game for our quarterback project, Logan Thomas. Like we hope to develop him into something. Of course, we all know that didn't work out at all. And the guy, I don't believe, is on our active roster right now. But we didn't want to put him through the stigma of leading a team to a loss in the postseason and having to come back to the next year and be the guy that lost in the playoffs. So in a sense, the Cardinals sacrificed Ryan Lindley.
Oh boy! And did you know this? Did you know that game we had a total of 77 yards of offense, which is the fewest in NFL playoff history?
Say that again.
That playoff.
I was ordering some turkey.
That playoff game where with Ryan Lindley starting last year, we totaled 77 yards of offense, and that is the fewest in a NFL playoff.
I'm typically up to speed with the Cardinals' records, dubious or not.
Logan Thomas is on the active roster of the Miami Dolphins.
They signed him and then they released him. Did they re-sign him from like an injury?
Yeah, and okay. he was promoted from the practice squad actually about 2 weeks ago. So yeah.
Well, that makes me happy.
So he's doing that now. All right. Okay, so here is what Indianapolis needs, other than Ryan Lindley and Josh Freeman, of course, to make the playoffs. I'm gonna run through all of the things that must happen. Keep in mind, these aren't like, oh, Indianapolis win plus any of these. No, every single one of these things has to happen, and here's what they are. Of course, Indy has to beat Tennessee. Jacksonville beats Houston. Buffalo beats New York Jets. Miami beats New England. Baltimore beats Cincinnati. Denver beats San Diego. Oakland beats Kansas City. Pittsburgh beats Cleveland. And for some reason, Atlanta has to beat New Orleans. If all of those things happen, Indianapolis will make the playoffs.
Yeah, bet on that. In fact, do you like the Indianapolis Colts playoffs betting parlay? You know, just like put $50 on like the first one.
drop like $20 on that, dude. You'll make it fucking mint.
Yeah, you'll be done working for a little bit.
Yeah. Anyways, I was curious why it was like that, and it turns out that the way that the playoffs are, the way that tiebreakers work, if Indy and Houston are both 8-8, they're both tied for the division title. And the way that the tiebreakers work is first they go to the head-to-head between the two teams that are tied for positioning. In this case, they split the head-to-head matchup. And then after that, they go to the divisional record. They're both 4-2 in the division, so they split that too. And then they go to common opponent record, meaning like, you know, of the teams that both teams have played outside the division, well, even within the division, and they split that one too. And then you go to the conference record for the AFC, and they split that one too. So then you get to the territory that's almost never seen, which is when you talk about strength of victories, like strength of schedule. That is, how many wins do the people that you've beat, how many wins do they have? So basically what that means is that quite literally all of those scenarios that I just named off have to fall into place. And the weirdest one I thought was the NFC game. Atlanta has to beat New Orleans. Like, how could that possibly have any influence over whether or not the Colts make the playoffs? And it's because if Atlanta beats New Orleans, then that changes the strength of schedule ratings for each team, which is it's weird. It's weird. But
wow.
Yeah. It's a weird scenario. But the point is that the Colts aren't technically dead in the water just yet. But I don't know. If I was gonna bet on that, I wouldn't put more than like $20.
That's as close to not technically dead in the water as you can get.
No,
without being dead in the water.
No, I know, and well, it was actually also contingent on Denver beating Cincinnati. That had to happen too. So thanks, Denver.
Wow.
Yeah. Looking forward, Lutes. Can we win without Tyron? I guess so. I thought that we were gonna get. I thought,
honestly.
Go on.
We're so deep in our backfield that, like, I don't think it's so hard to say, man, but I don't think that's going to be as big of a blow as it seems. People, the main thing that they're saying that they miss is his like energy and his emotion, which kind of implies the thing that they miss is just him, like his personality. But you got guys that like Tony Jefferson's one of my favorite Cardinals, dude, and like he's got to be on the bench because Tyron's there, and Gerard Powers has to play out of his natural position. So these guys are getting to get shuffled in, dude, and like I have no concerns with them being in those spots right now. DJ Swearinger has proven to be a consummate professional in the way he's picked up our defense and the way he communicates. We were playing that Green Bay game without Rashad Johnson, you know? Like we're so deep back there. So we're going to get Rashad back and have guys that are really playing for, like just show off how good they actually all are. So like they're all motivated now and they're all really fresh too. Like, dude, I don't think this is going to be the blip that people are saying it's going to be, man. I mean, did we not demonstrate
I was gonna
against Green
say,
Bay?
yeah, that was it right there. Because what my concern, my immediate concern was Green Bay. Of course we'd lose Tyron the week before we had to go play a guy that's universally regarded as a straight up elite quarterback in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers. And you know what? Like we very much neutralized his influence. I mean, he's
Right.
he had an okay game, but
And he tried to pick on Justin Bethel. That was expected. They had like 11 targets on him, and I think that Justin Bethel's receivers came out with like
one of them,
6 yards.
no, yeah, one of those 11 targets was right on point because Justin Bethel came down with it. So
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers' 5th career end zone interception came to the hands of Justin Bethel. It's just like, yeah, fuck you, take that, get out of here.
okay,
The only thing that Green Bay had going for them was really Eddie Lacy, who hasn't actually been that good this season. They haven't had much of a run game established. The guy's put on a lot of weight. He's not doing very well, but he was breaking through for some runs. We were just fortunate enough to run the score up enough to where they couldn't try to run the ball on us anymore. They absolutely had to go into the passing game, and that's what killed them. So it's kind of like that Niners game, you know. It's like if you change how a team has to play away from how they want to play, you're gonna destroy them. It's gonna look very one-sided.
dude,
But if you don't get those early points like that, and Green Bay still gets to run behind Lacy, you know, the game might have worked out differently.
did you see Corey Redding scoop and score? Did you see him?
Of course.
Did you see him freaking plow Starks into the turf?
Plow Starks in the turf and then run and do a slam dunk over the freaking the
He
goal line,
dude,
and followed up with the woo nature boy strut. It's the
He-
Ric Flair strut.
wait, I didn't see it. I must have missed that. I gotta look this up. I gotta see him do hang on. What was it? The limousine riding, jet airplane flying, kiss stealing,
yeah.
wheeling dealing. I got
Yeah, from the post game interview or whatever.
yeah.
They're all dancing, dude. Tony Jefferson was showing off his moves. Like he's such a cool guy. Like I'm so happy that he gets a
Tony
chance to play right
Jefferson.
now.
You remember when he freaking put Cutler into the turf? Oh, that's right. You were there
I was
when that
sitting
happened.
there. Yeah, I was sitting there in person watching that in Chicago, and I felt bad because I was with a Bears fan and I was all celebrating hectically for it, but I didn't realize Cutler got injured. Nobody did at the time. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait, where's Jay?
Man, your headset keeps censoring you. It keeps going burp while you're talking.
Good.
I feel
Y'all
like,
don't need to hear this.
I feel like you're saying some messed up stuff, and your headset's like, we don't want to hear what Lutes has to say about this. Okay. I want to ask you this. Resting this upcoming week. There's a lot of argument over this. Bruce Arians says, no, we're going full throttle, balls to the wall, guns blazing. We're playing this game against Seattle like any other regular season game. We're going to go out there and play to win. Nobody's resting. No one's taking it slow. The flip side of that is that we need these guys for the playoffs. Now here's the way I look at it. Let me explain my logic when I'm thinking here. Do we really need that number 1 seed? I mean, it'd be fun to have for the sake of saying, yeah, we got it. But do we need it? I mean, think about this. A healthy Cardinals team can march into Carolina and beat those guys, okay? An injured Cardinals team, even with the number 1 seed, will lose to Carolina, even at University of Phoenix Stadium at home. So the number 1 seed
True.
doesn't mean shit to me. We're if as long as we're healthy, okay?
Well, what I wanted to have happen was the Panthers remain undefeated. Then we go there and hand them their first loss in their home turf. I do want to beat them in Carolina because that's where they beat us last year, like a bunch of bastards. And like nobody, none of the Panthers fans would point out the fact that we were playing with Ryan Lindley and like Kerwin Williams as our number 1 running back, and everybody was injured. You know, they're just like, "Oh, we beat you last year. We'll do it again." It's like, dude, you're really gonna consider last year's game in your argument? It's stupid.
No,
So yeah, I want to
I'm
beat
with you. I
Carolina for
can't
all
I
those
can't. You
rednecks.
know what? I feel like I don't I feel like an intelligent, normal-minded person would have to acknowledge that the Panthers won a
Yeah, but
fucking
you're
shit
dealing with
game.
you're dealing with people from Carolinas, man.
Oh,
You're not dealing with
oh,
intelligent, rational people.
oh, baby. Week 17 is upon us, Lutes. No Thursday game, no Saturday game, not even a Monday game. Classic Sunday football. I got to tell you, I like that. I like the fact that we got a freaking whole slate of games and they're all just freaking happening all at once. NFL Network used to have this thing. Guys, let me know if anyone else remembers this from NFL Network. This is several years ago. They had this thing where during the early games, there wouldn't be like dudes on screen talking and shit. It would just be stats and scores like just up on the screen. And every now and then, if a team was in the red zone, they would cut to the live radio broadcast of that team's game in the red zone, so you could hear live when they got a touchdown or whatever. And I thought, honestly, I would just watch that shit all day. I would just be watching the scores and the numbers popping up and stuff, full screen, no ticker or nothing. And I wish I know that you could get that by going to like NFL.com or whatever. But I don't know, man. I liked having that on in the living room when I was like sitting on the couch and stuff. And they don't do that anymore. Now they got Michael Irving in there talking about shit, and I'd rather not see him.
Me too. I'd rather not hear about the NFC East for a little while.
Yeah,
I
and
hate that division.
yeah. Anyways, so week 17 is upon us. We already said that part. I want to talk about Lutes locks. Remember, Lutes, remember when choosing your locks that some of these have playoff implications for the Indianapolis Colts. In fact, most of them have playoff implications for the Indianapolis Colts. All right, let's go ahead and
All
run.
I care about.
Let's go ahead and run through. Hang on. Let me cue my sounder. We got to hear it.
Lutes Locks.
It's too quiet. Let me play it again.
Lutes Locks.
That was what I meant to do. All right. We got. God damn it. New York Jets going to Buffalo to take on the Bills.
Gotta beat the Jets.
Next we got the Miami Dolphins going to take on the New England Weird Patriots in Miami.
It's gotta be the New England Weird Strap-on Patriots in Miami.
New Orleans Saints going to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. This one has playoff implications for Indy, remember. Well, so did the other two I already picked.
I think the Falcons will win that one.
That'd be fun. Detroit
Lions.
I know, but they did just beat Carolina. Detroit Lions going to Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears.
I think both these teams are kind of on the upswing. What's interesting is I kind of feel like Adam Gase, the offensive coordinator of the Bears, might be the head coach of the Lions if the Lions are lucky next season. I think Detroit's going to win. They're getting a little better.
Philadelphia Squeagles going to take on the New York Gents.
I think the Eagles are going to win that one.
Really? The Chip Kelly-less Eagles are going to win that one?
I think that they're going to come out and they're going to give a big thank you game to the owner and the fans.
Washington Skins going to play a somewhat meaningless game in Dallas against the Dallas Cowboys. You think the Skins are going to rest?
The Skins are going to win that game.
You think so? I was thinking the Skins are going to rest that game.
The Cowboys are like, we can't win without Romo.
But I
Dude,
feel...
they would put up single-digit points, man.
I understand, but I'm saying that the Skins might not even show up because they have nothing to play for. They have the 4 seed.
I mean, that's got to be taken into consideration. But I just think that even if you're trying to lose the game against the Cowboys, that's a tough competition of who's trying to lose harder, and the Cowboys really got it mastered at this point.
It's gonna be like that episode of South Park, the summer of baseball one.
The biggest loser or whatever.
Yeah, the losing edge is what it's called. Tennessee at Indianapolis. Chuck Pagano's final game as a Colts head coach.
I mean, if they start Ryan Lindley, the Colts are gonna win all day. I think the Colts will win it.
Baltimore, I almost said Orioles. Ravens going to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals.
The Bengals got to win that game. I forgot that they were playing in the prime time against the Broncos without have made it a pretty easy pick. I don't even remember who I picked, but probably the Broncos.
Pittsburgh going to Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Browns.
I mean, Pittsburgh has to win this game, dude. And even if they do, it doesn't even mean they're in the playoffs. How did they fuck that up?
Oh.
How did they lose to the Ravens?
Oh, boy.
Like, they're supposed to be a hot team, dude, and, like, it's so ridiculous. So, like, I think the Steelers have to win. But, dude, I would love to see fucking Manziel, like, just ruin it for them. He almost beat the Chiefs, man. And because of that, I think the Chiefs are also they're not, like, they barely beat the Chargers, you know? So, like, I think the Chiefs are in a little bit of trouble, too, but still are finding ways to win. So I guess I got the Chiefs, but
Jacksonville going to Houston to take on the Houston Texans. Houston guarantees locks up the South with a win, but obviously if they lose, 10 other things have to happen in order for the Colts to take the division from them.
The Texans are probably going to win that.
Okay, and Brandon Weeden said in an interview, it's funny that Jerry Jones is going to be watching the playoffs from his couch while I'm playing in it. Because, obviously there was that really unpleasant rift when Brandon Weeden was cut by the Cowboys, and Jerry Jones said that they would have won the games that Weeden lost if they would have started Castle instead of Weeden. Going on.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Jerry Jones is such a classless fuck, dude. Like, what kind of a goddamn thing is that to say about a quarterback? I don't know. You just don't say shit like that. Oakland going to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Chiefs are going to win.
San Diego going to Denver to take on the Denver Broncos.
Broncos are going to have to win that one, Broncos are going to have to win it.
Brock Osweiler has been playing better? I like Brock Osweiler. You guys know that about me. St. Louis Yams going to San Francisco to close out the season against the Niners.
I think I got the Niners.
Do you think... Oh,
that's a tough one.
I should have mentioned this earlier. Do you think Jim Tomsula's done?
No, I think he'll be back.
You think so? Do you think they'll make him?
Yeah, from one. I think they'll bring him back in, like, if the season gets kind of off on a bad foot, then they'll cut him, like, during the season. But I think that they'll let him come in and start the season just to see how things are going.
Do you think they'll make him shave his mustache?
I hope not. That's where he draws his powers from.
What about Jeff Fisher's mustache?
Hate it.
By the way, I read that his job is safe. I read that the ownership, the Rams have already decided Jeff Fisher will be back next season. But you know why? Because Jeff Fisher coached the Oilers during their relocation to Nashville and or to Memphis, and because they were the Memphis Oilers, weren't they for Memphis Oilers for like a season? I don't know. Anyways, the point is that he helped facilitate that relocation, and if the Rams are going to be moving, then they would want a guy who's been through that before, I guess, to be the coach. So Jeff Fisher is staying. Tampa Bay going to Carolina to take on the Panthers.
Oh, give me the Bucks, dude! Come on, Bucks! Come on, Bucks!
Oh man, is that what you believe, or is that just what you hope?
That's what I believe.
Okay. He's beginning to believe. Minnesota Vikings going to Green Bay to take on the Pack.
Vikings, man. I got the Vikings.
The 3 seed is at stake here. Winner gets a 3 seed, loser possibly a 6, maybe a 5.
I love what the Vikings are doing, man.
Yeah. Final score for Seattle coming to town to Arizona to finish out the season against your Arizona Cardinals.
38-13, Arizona.
38-13, he says.
We're gonna blow them the fuck up, dude.
Yeah.
We're gonna smash Russell Wilson like the Rams did, but then we're gonna put up a ton of points.
They're gonna end up not even going to the playoffs. They're gonna be so deflated. They're gonna be more deflated than Tom Brady's balls. All right.
Oh wait,
What?
speaking of Tom Brady's balls, I forgot the one last thing that's making this so zen-like is the Peyton Manning saga has finally come to an end. The guy was taking human growth hormones at a minimum after his neck surgery, and going into that 2013 miracle year in Denver. Wow, that must be why he was playing so well. Unfortunately, you don't get clutch genes by having super small balls, nor do you get clutch genes by sexually assaulting a female trainer and ruining her career. So that's just like everything I've always said, man, has come to pass. Yay, it was so.
You know what? Honestly, at this point, from a football standpoint, I don't even think about Peyton Manning anymore. Peyton Manning might as well be Kim Kardashian to me because he has nothing to do with football. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's Brock Osweiler's team. Like that's cut and dry. Brock Osweiler has led the team to a few wins.
But this is just mandated that at this point. I mean, talk about taking the burden off John Elway, and fuck, I wouldn't be surprised if John Elway, like, not saying he had a hand in that report or anything, but certainly didn't mind the timeliness when he would have to deal with, like, because Peyton Manning is, like, playable now, and he simply cannot win the starting job back from Brock Osweiler during practice and everything. And so at this point, it's like you can't really play him now. You know, not while there's kind of like all this investigation and shit going on. I mean, it makes it really easy. I mean, if he was already starting, that'd be one thing. But trying to get the start at this point, now it's like easy to not give him that.
All right, I gotta play.
Dude.
I gotta play the John Elway clip right now.
I'd like to start out this
Come on.
press conference with a thank you to John Elway.
I don't know why I like that so much. I think it's hilarious.
Because it's so Freudianly awesome. I'd like to thank John Elway for participating in what's considered the 2 worst Super Bowls of all time when his Broncos said he quarterbacked, got clobbered 55-10 by the Niners, and when his Broncos that he GM'd got clobbered 43-8 by the Seahawks. So thanks, John Elway. You managed to be a most feudal conference champion that you could possibly be.
I think he lost 3 as a player. I believe he lost 3 Super Bowls as a player in the 80s, and then he won back-to-back ones at 98, 99.
Yeah, something like that.
And then he retired on top because fucking that's the way to do it. Like, I don't know.
But at least he had that, you know. And I wonder if he was doping to do it. Probably not. And then you see like a guy like Carson Palmer, and you see even Eli struggling, and it's like, I would much rather have you struggle than to have you doping. It's like Peyton Manning, you know he can't handle losing. So
dude, but okay, I gotta tell you, like everyone
between her and the doctor.
Every report that I've read has like suggested that there is nothing that demonstrates that Peyton was actually taking this shit.
Man, like first of all, you just like watch the interview, and it's the sound of a guy who is frustrated that it's like when I was volunteering at this homeless shelter. And I saw this guy like take some crack from this other guy through like the fence of the place. And I like walked out and I was like, what are you doing? And like how hostile he got at the fact that I was like, you know, kind of like stepping in on like him trying to get his fix and everything. And like it sounds like that type of like hostility, the way that you react to it.
You just compared Peyton Manning to a homeless crack addict. I love it.
Well, the guy did live in a shelter, so he wasn't like technically homeless at the time. But I mean, HGH, you know, trying to like feel your best, like yeah, that's this Peyton crack. And the fact that he's like so wholesome on the outside and like so marketable, but deep down he's rubbing his balls on trainers' faces and then getting them fired because they had the audacity to like file a report about it. And so like this school wanted to smear her reputation so that it wasn't as credible. And then
Peyton wanted to smear something too.
His forehead's jacked, dude. That's why it's so big, man.
I was about to say that. Peyton Manning's head is fucking huge. It's gotten bigger. His head has changed size and shape. It reminds me of Sammy Sosa's head. You remember when Sammy Sosa had a normal human-sized head? He doesn't anymore. Let's go. We're gonna end the show now.
Wait.
What?
Is it head growth hormone?
I don't know. Bye, everybody. Lutes, tell him.
Lutes knows what he's saying, you guys. Arizona Cardinals, savage season, gonna win the Super Bowl. Like, seriously, who's gonna play us and and who's gonna beat us? The answer to that question is nobody. Nobody's gonna beat this team.
Nobody.
If we stay as healthy as we are.
Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful week. We will be in touch with you next week for the final podcast of the regular season. Come on back so we can get you ready for the playoffs. Bye.
Bye.
Hey! Da 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 da